Hello everyone, greetings from Russia. We're still here, right behind me, the big building. I really love it. We're living right by it, right over there. We're actually trying to get a transportation out from here from Russia. It's a little bit difficult, but still, we've been really good here. No, not too many complaints, so we're okay for now. You know, the main things why we even came to Russia was training the MMA. Just a while ago I posted a video where I'm doing the workout or doing the warm-up, instructing for the class there and grappling there. And I think MMA is something, you know, we've been doing it now for over a year. And I think it's why it's so special is that because it's so thrilling, and at the same time it's also quite a repulsive. Not at the moment, but at least the first time when I was seeing MMA, I was like, what are these guys doing? Like, they are half naked and beating themselves, and there's blood and everything. It was like a little bit, because I used to like more like traditional martial arts first, and I still do, but it was much cleaner in some ways. So MMA seemed very, very barbaric and brutal, but also, like, as I said, still very exciting and thrilling. So for me, you know, personally, MMA brought a lot, because it was just because I was so nervous even going to training where there's no competing or anything, there's sparring, but I was nervous about it, like, because it stimulates the fighting situation. People are trying to punch you, so on, strangle you, choke you, break you. So I was nervous, and just noticing, like, little by little, the confidence growing, and just like finding a whole new trust to your own body, to your own abilities, seeing that you can actually handle these situations. You know, you're okay there in the midst of all that fighting, all that battle. And this was a huge thing for me, and just becoming much more comfortable physically and mentally with myself, which I never really thought about. I think it's like just being there and fighting. It was great. It was a huge relief to actually experience that, take some hits, take some kicks to the jaw, and just be there, be all right with it. Big thing. But there was a bigger also meaning and purpose there, which is because, you know, we have VAHVA Fitness, we have our own training method that we believe in, that we do, we practice it all the time, we spread it to other people as well. This big methodology we have built over the years. And it's also something about testing. We wanted to test this methodology that we have, that it works. Now the thing about it is that even without MMA, I know that it works, of course, for many different purposes, because, well, over the years we've had thousands of different users doing our programs. I've done these programs myself, all the training, and I know it does amazing things for the body, makes you much more healthier, stronger. It does make you more functional, but still there was something missing, like that sort of final, I think there's a word, like a final trial under fire, something like that, like fire trial. I don't know what it's called, but this is like a big test, like how does our methods through our bodies work under situations such as in MMA, which is competition, which is this like a real condition where it has like very severe consequences as well in that very moment. Like you need to have everything pretty much in good condition if you want to fight there. Very well-rounded. Like, MMA requires you to be really well-rounded in every single aspect of like training. You can, of course, people have different strengths, but still you need to have pretty much on all different areas of fitness. You need to have a pretty good, good condition. So strength, flexibility, mobility. You need to have agility, you need to have explosiveness, you need to have speed, you need to have the endurance, you need to have basically pretty much everything that you could think of like a well-rounded athlete needs to have. You need to be able to withstand blows, you need to be even hardened, you need to be hardened in your body. So many things, you know. So I think it was a very worth test, and just a way to test or see our abilities, like in this sort of situation, see our competence, evaluate ourselves, and also take our method further. Because the first thing that we, for example, realized when we went to the training there and sparring and everything was that we were severely lacking strength, endurance, and this type of conditioning. So the big realization is that just the pure strength or power or the ability to lift heavy or do a nice pull-up or something is nothing. It doesn't make you a beast, it doesn't make you killer in the cage, absolutely nothing unless you can sustain this energy. So you get out of breath, or first you have some strength, then after you get a little bit tired, you lose everything. You know, you have nothing, and the other guy just pushes on forward and beats the crap out of you or chokes you out or whatever. So this was one big realization that also took our method further, because we then started to focus more and more on strength, endurance. I started to do conditioning routines. We made a whole program based on this, the Warrior 20XX, that mimics this sort of very, high stress, high intensity conditions of wrestling and of MMA, of fighting competition. And it even has the whole workout format is used by like some UFC or MMA champions. It's a workout format where you just basically a high intensity workout format. And so this is one of the things, the endurance, of course, but something that we had already before, you know, because of course we realized what we were missing, but we also realized that there is something that we had, you know, that was kind of an advantage compared to other people. And we had built a huge foundation over the years, a big foundation through basically two types of training. One, or you can separate them to the movement training, and then you have this athletic type of training. So movement training, I think it's no wonder that in any almost MMA class, but definitely every single grappling or wrestling class, in the warm-up we always do some sort of like animal movements or movement training, because when you look at it, it almost like some wrestling moves, or see some people wrestling, it really looks like some of the monkey walks that you do, and usually almost every time you're supporting your body in these positions, for example on your arm and shoulder, then you can see these positions in animal movements like crab walk or bear walk, and you notice like how you're actually training those positions that are in the actual competition conditions. You're training those positions in movement training. So movement training is a dynamic, it's a dynamic way of more dynamic way of controlling your body through this full body, whole body movements. You learn to move the body as a whole. It's creative way. It's almost like there's improvisation, there's spontaneous, all these things. You can understand that when you're doing grappling or something or fighting, you need these skills, and you need to learn to use your body in a more dynamic way and be loose and limber sometimes, and then sometimes you're hard, sometimes you're soft and whatever. So it's a very dynamic, just a very living, it lives all the time, the situation when you do movement training. And it helps with this a lot. Other than just, of course, you know, one of the greatest benefits is because movement training, you go to so many different positions that you would otherwise maybe think about, and you're training the mobility, you're training strength here and there in this, and coordination, of course. So, but there is still, it's not everything there is to it. You know, this is what we realized from quite early on, that there are some things that movement training doesn't cover. So, and that is basically the athletic type of training that we developed while we were in Croatia and Australia. We would develop it to kind of fill these holes that we found the movement training just doesn't do. So athletic training that we do, it's much more precise. We don't focus on the movement, we focus on kind of what creates the movement in the body. We focus on the separate attributes that you can isolate from the movement. So you can have a bear walk or something that has, you know, shoulder flexion, has hip flexion, it has maybe spinal flexion, it has all these things. And then you take away those pieces from there. You take away that sort of shoulder. You focus just on that shoulder sort of separately. You develop the mobility in a specific area, because your body really sometimes requires this sort of refinement to really get to the next level. You know, this is the thing about it. Certain areas in the body require a huge, like a very specific surgical attention to get them better. This is also regarding injury prevention or fixing pains in the body. It's not always enough that we do this full body movements, because sometimes we move in the ways that are most comfortable for us. We don't really fix those patterns that we've learned or that are stuck with us. So it needs something more precise focus to actually fix the body there. But so athletic training also, because we can develop the attributes separately, we refine every single attribute of the speed, of the explosiveness. We can refine stability. Stability is one of the biggest things that needs refinement, that you don't only get to usually develop it through the movement training. The stability also, stability is sometimes hard to understand, but it's, let's say, you're moving in MMA, you're moving sideways or lateral or something, and you need to basically hold always like certain areas still and supporting. So not everything can like be flopping around like, I don't know what, like a noodle or something. So there needs to be something that is also stabilizing and holding your composure in those fast movements. Something moves, your legs move explosively. You need to have still a certain posture held up so you can deliver your punches, right? This is stability. And this is something you can develop in every single joint of your body. Mobility is one thing. This is what you need. First, of course, you need to have natural or full ranges of motion in the body. You need to have control in them. But then you also need to be able to lock those joints in place to create support. Your body needs a support in order to move. In a way, if everything is flopping around like this way, it's going to be very, very hard. And you can't even produce speed in that manner. So it's interesting, think about stability, something rigid, and then it's hard to understand that it creates even speed and explosiveness, all this. But this is the mechanism that I explained, because it creates support from where you can produce power and speed and all this stuff. So, as I explained, I think there was 3 things. I started with the conditioning. This was something that was missing. But then we had this huge foundation that also helped us to actually progress very fast in MMA. At least I know this. Someone know this too, that this actually helped us tremendous, that we had this background, although we didn't have all the conditioning and skills there. But it helps us to progress much faster and learn these skills in the MMA and stay, first of all, to stay healthy. I mean, I can tell you there was some pains when we started training. All this, every week some new stuff, appeared or just from the impacts. But it's just mainly keep our joints healthy and keep training. This is really interesting actually regarding, for example, Athlete 20XX. There was a guy in Finland in the MMA class. He had some shoulder issues. I was talking to him like after the class, I gave some advice, and I was just talking about like that you can actually fix these things, because not everybody even realized that. I was talking about these things, and this guy then, he was like, okay, yeah. And afterwards he had searched like our channel, he had searched our programs. He was asking about, like what would I recommend to him? And I said like, well, I think in your case, for example, Athlete 2Next would be good, because I think he had not done that type of training for his shoulders. So time goes by, I don't hear anything about him. Then, I don't know, at some point, just out of blue, he sends me an email and says that he's been doing the Athlete 2Next. He's super happy. He says like his shoulders have never been better. It's almost like completely pain-free. Being able to just go fully continue with the MMA training and everything. So this is very, very crucial. What not every fighter understands. We want to focus just on the fighting or whole body movements, but you need very specialized also isolation training for your body, because movement training doesn't always cover the same thing in the body as you get when you really precisely focus on these isolated areas. So, what else? Finally, there's even a new piece in the puzzle, which is Qigong, which you have noticed that we have focusing on lately. We have this Qigong season going on with the master Jiang Yushan. And I'd say Qigong was sort of the final missing piece in the puzzle, or putting together everything. I say like this is why we even went to the type of training, because we immediately noticed once we first trained Qigong with the master, we noticed here is something that we are not actually doing. regarding like developing a certain consciously developing internal energy in your body, developing chi in the body. So that sort of skill, and basically it's heavily related to breathing. Like breathing is what it's kind of about, and getting deeper into breathing. These are some of the missing pieces in our approach, and now we also have that as well in our approach with the hardening and everything. So it makes it even more complete. So the whole thing is about kind of having this, that we have all these pieces in our approach. So we have them kind of getting them together and seeing that they actually work in these sort of situations like in MMA that require high level performance, require you to be under pressure and really test you. And it's about putting yourself also just on the line in a way. And this is kind of what we do. Experience the thrill, fighting. I enjoy it, you know. I also enjoy it, but there's the bigger thing. Just proving our method also works on this high level. So this is how it all comes together. But really, you don't need to, be doing MMA or even like any combat sports in a way. It's not for everyone. This I understand. And of course, like our training, whatever it is, because everyone can enjoy still the good, proper training and get the benefits from it. I was doing the training well before I was doing any MMA training or something like this, and just feeling better, feeling healthier, being much more pain-free and enjoying whatever activities I wanted to do, physical activities I wanted to do in my life. And this is kind of what we are here about, to share these methods, share methods that really work, really produce tangible results for everyone who is doing them, and offer some new approaches that probably people have not experienced before. And that's it, guys. See you in the next video. Stay strong.